या निशा सर्वभूतानां तस्यां जागर्ति संयमी यस्यां जाग्रति भूतानि सा निशा पश्यतो मुनेः.
Welcome, dear friend, to today's manana, our slow, deliberate savoring of a single verse until it becomes part of how we see. Today's shloka is one of the most quietly stunning lines in the entire Bhagavad Gita, from the second chapter, verse 69. Listen to its sound first. Ya nishaa sarvabhutanam tasyam jagarti sanyamee yasyam jagrati bhutani sa nisha pashyato mune. The plain meaning is a riddle, that which is night for all beings, in that the self-restrained one is wide awake, and that in which all beings are wide awake, that is night for the sage who truly sees. Let us take the words gently, one by one. Nisha means night. But notice, night is not the absence of the world. At night, the world is fully present. We simply cannot see it. So Nisha really means that which exists but does not register. Sarva Bhutanam means of all beings. The word Bhuta comes from the root Bhu, to become. So it literally names us as the becoming ones, creatures forever in motion. Jagarti means he stays awake, he keeps vigil. From the root jagri, to wake, the same root that gives Vedanta its word for the waking state itself. And who is this one who stays awake? The sanyamee, from sam plus the root yam, to rein in, the way a charioteer reins in horses. Not the cleverest one, notice, the most gathered one. Then the mirror line, yasyam jagrati bhutani, that in which beings stay awake, plural now, the whole bustling crowd. Sa nisha, that is night, pashyato mune, for the seeing sage. Pashyata comes from the root pash, to see, and it is in the present tense, the sage in the very act of seeing. And muni, sage, comes from the root man, to think, the same root as our word manana, one whose thinking has turned inward and gone silent. Here is something beautiful. The verse never once mentions sleep. Everyone in it is awake. The only question is, awake to what? Now the setting. We are on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Arjuna has collapsed, refusing to fight, and has just asked Krishna his first real question as a student. Describe to me the sthita-prajña, the person of steady wisdom. How do they speak? How do they sit? How do they walk? Krishna is painting that portrait, and this verse is its boldest stroke. He has already given the image of the tortoise drawing in its limbs, already traced how brooding on objects breeds attachment, then desire, then anger, then ruin. Now he says something more radical. The stabilized person is not just a better behaved version of everyone else. Their entire axis of attention has flipped. What the world calls broad daylight, profit and loss, praise and blame, craving and fear, has become for the sage a dim country that no longer commands belief. And what the world has never even visited, the still, deathless awareness underneath all experience, that is where the sage keeps constant, luminous vigil. Notice one subtle detail in the Sanskrit. When the sage wakes, the verb is singular, jagarti. When the world wakes, it is plural, jagrati. Real wakefulness, Krishna hints, is solitary. It cannot be borrowed from the crowd. In fact, the crowd's agreement is exactly what the verse asks us to distrust. The fact that everyone around you is intensely awake to something is no proof at all that it is real. This insight is not India's alone. The Greek philosopher Heraclitus said, "The waking share one common world, but sleepers each turn aside into a private world of their own." Plato told of prisoners in a cave, wide awake to shadows, who would call the returning philosopher blind because his eyes were ruined for shadow watching by sunlight. Thoreau wrote that he had never yet met a man who was quite awake. And the very word Buddha simply means the one who woke up. Modern psychology gives the same truth a mechanism. Your brain does not show you the world, it shows you what your desires have trained it to notice. In the famous experiments, people watching a ball game fail to see a person in a gorilla suit walk straight through the scene because they were not primed to value it. Whatever your heart does not value is quite literally night to you. Meditation research even shows that in long practitioners, the brain's default chatter, the endless rumination over gains and grievances, the very daytime of all beings, grows measurably quiet, while pure attention stays bright. So, how do we live this verse starting today? First, sit with a few honest questions. What am I most reliably awake to? If someone tracked where my attention snaps alert, the phone, the money, the criticism, what would they say my daytime is made of? And what precious thing has been left in the dark? Second, where am I mistaking consensus for reality? Chasing something mainly because everyone around me is chasing it. Third, and most encouraging, is there something that once gripped me completely and has since become night to me? An old craving, an old resentment I have simply seen through. That quiet dissolving is the very muscle this verse asks us to train. And here is your practice. Tonight, take 3 minutes. Draw 2 columns. In the first, write the 2 or 3 things that most agitated or excited you today because the world calls them urgent. In the second, write one real thing that was present all day which you barely noticed. The quality of your own attention, the unspoken state of someone you love, the sheer wonder of being aware at all. Then ask the first column one question. Will this be real to me in 1 year? Cross out whatever fails. Do this for 1 week, and once each day in your busiest hour, pause for a single breath and ask, the whole world is awake to this. What is being ignored right now? Then give that ignored thing 10 full seconds of attention. That is sanyamee in miniature. 1 rein-pull a day. Ya nishaa sarvabhutanam tasyam jagarti sanyamee. May what has been night to us slowly fill with light, and may the noise the world calls daylight lose its power to keep us from seeing. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
या निशा सर्वभूतानां तस्यां जागर्ति संयमी यस्यां जाग्रति भूतानि सा निशा पश्यतो मुनेः